Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. Navigraph have just released their latest version of the Navigraph charts, version number 8, and for the first time they feature VFR charts now. Now, if that is not a topic for a video, then I don't know what else is. And here we are with the new Navigraph Charts 8 app. It can be downloaded from the Navigraph website, and existing users who already have a Navigraph subscription will not need to do anything in order to get access to the new features. They are all included right inside the Navigraph app. Now, for those who have not yet subscribed to Navigraph, you can do so for, I believe, €8.70 per month, or for something in the region 70 or 80 euros per year. So, overall, let's have a look at the new functionality and then you can decide if that is something that you might want to give a try. Today we are sitting in the analogue King Air from a Black Square simulation, which I am probably going to feature a couple more times over the next few weeks on my channel, because I really get to like this aircraft. But before we are doing anything with the aircraft, let's have a look into what we're going to do today. We're currently sitting at Cologne Bonn Airport and we will do a VFR flight over to Essen Mülheim, which is just about a 30-mile trip. So a rather quick one, but in a rather complex airspace. You can already see on the charts that we have a lot of Class Charlie airspaces around, because we have Cologne Airport here, Düsseldorf Airport up here. And overall this is quite a challenging environment, even more so because we are flying the analogue King Air without any GPS equipment. So we'll just take the standard layout with the 1970s, 1980s ANAV computer, which is not really going to be of much use for us today. So that's making things a little bit more interesting, but I can already tell you the Navigraph charts will provide quite an invaluable experience when we get to use them. So let's have a look into what they actually offer now. First of all, we have a new flight planning system here, so let's go ahead, create a new flight. We want to go VFR, and we'll use the, we can use really either mode of operation here, because overall, VFR, it won't really matter what kind of chart mode we are going to get. Cruising altitude, we'll determine that as soon as we have our route determined, so let's go ahead with our route. Origin. It remembers the airport that you used last, which is really nice, so we can just say Cologne Bonn, add to route. Takes a short while, but now it's loaded the airport, and we can do the same for the destination. We want to go towards Essen Mülheim, add to route. And we can even add an alternate if we want to, so for example, alternate airport. It already tells us nice alternates that we have right within the area, but we can make that a little bit easier if we know where we want to go. Of course, Essen Mülheim being up here, the obvious choice is Düsseldorf, so let's take that. Düsseldorf Airport, add to route, and that is our alternate added as well. Now let's go ahead and actually plan the route of flight that we are going to fly. We will have to depart Essen Mülheim, and when we zoom in far enough, it gives us the VFR charts for the area. So we can see over here we have several routes that would lead outside of the control zone, and the closest one to our route over here is going to be the November routing. So if I just click on that waypoint, I can now say add to route. Now we have November 2 added. I can click on the other waypoint, November 1, add to route. Now it asks me, do you want to put that in before or after? We'll put it in after the first waypoint. So that is going to be our way out of the control zone. Note as well that it says maximum altitude 2,500 feet down here. Alright, from there on, we can now see what we have available. So we would have a VOR over here, but we really don't need that. Some danger zones where we don't want to go close to Leverkusen. And going up further north, we then have Class Charlie airspace over here around Essen Mülheim from an altitude of 1,500 feet. The traffic pattern is just at 1,400 feet, so we really want to go around that. So let's route via that VOR up here, via Barmen. And then we'll just go VFR around this and join the traffic pattern over here. Now, what's really nice with the new apps as well is that you can now just zoom in order to get more details. So for example, we have Cologne Airport over here, but if we zoom in further, then we get to see pretty much all the details that you could ask for. Like, we have our taxiways, we have the different stands available, and that information is coming straight from Essen from the VFR charting service. So that is really cool. Also, with our aircraft position being available directly on the route, that makes it fairly easy to use them as a moving map, which actually we have available here. Moving map is on. Now we take the follow mode, we orientate it with a track up, and now we can basically use this as a kind of navigation display, which is really similar to all those tablets that are being used in general aviation in the real world. So that's a really cool service that Navigraph have established over there. Alright, that is pretty much everything we need for the flight, so we can just hide the screen, and now we have our Navigraph charts basically set up in exactly the way like we would use a tablet in real life for VFR navigation. Note that we do have the Navigraph chart apps updated for iOS and for Android, so if you do indeed have a tablet, then you can use it just like in real life now. Alright, with all of that said and done, we've completed our flight planning, so let's go ahead and actually do a little bit of flying. I'm still a bit new to the analog King Air, so don't be surprised if not everything is done 100% like it should be. I'm trying my best to learn this plane, but I'm still in the process of doing so. Alright, that said, the focus of this video is obviously not on the aircraft, but on the Navigraph charts, so I'm just gonna go over things a little bit quicker over here, and I am fairly sure that you will get a couple more detailed tutorials from me on the King Air in the not-so-far future. Come on, give me my click spot. Here we are. Right, we do have sufficient fuel on board. So, beacon on, nav lights on, and we are clear on the right hand side. Let's start engine number 2. %, turbine RPM, fuel on. %, starter off. So, generator on, voltage checked. We'll put it onto high idle so that it produces enough power that we can start our left engine without totally killing the battery off. So, starting the left engine. And we have 2 good engine starts. So we do have power, let's turn on the rest of our plane then. Alrighty, that's 2 good engine starts. We'll go up now at an altitude of 2,300 feet, as that is going to keep us below the Charlie airspace of 2,500, which is going to be the most limiting on the route. And with that setup completed, let's start making our way. Okay, we're clear on the left, and we're clear on the right. Taxi light on, park and brake off. Brakes are checked. Let's add a bit of thrust. Looks like this airplane needs a bit of convincing. That's better. And here we are. Now, this is not the first flight of the day for us today, so we are going to skip over the run-up and we'll just make our way straight away. So, remember the chart, one for right. It's going to be a right-hand pattern, and then we'll cross over at the threshold towards November 2 to leave the control zone via that. Also keep in mind, maximum altitude is 2,500 feet, as we can see down here. And that is pretty much all that we will need for this flight. Or at least for this departure. So, lights on, auto feather on. Props into high idle, flaps are out. Let's go. I do find it kind of cool that the Navigraph chart map just lags a little bit, because that is actually what a lot of the real-life general aviation applications do seem to do. They aren't 100% as smooth as our lovely flight simulators are, so that is actually quite realistic for me. Alright, let's go. Do seem to need a little bit of rudder here. Keep the airplane where I want it to go. 80 knots. Rotate. Gear up. Positive rates. Flaps up. So, start reducing the RPMs very slowly in order not to over-torque the engines. And we can start our right-hand turn into the traffic pattern. We're reaching pattern altitude already. Power back to something useful. Overall, we're still in a airfield environment here, so we don't want to go speeding. So there's our field. go. We'll overfly the threshold of the runway 14 left over there, which is the main departure runway they have open at the moment. And as soon as we're over that, we'll set course directly towards November 2. Okay, the final approach is clear. Okay, we're clear of the runway system, so we'll head towards November 2, which is basically just over here next to the city. And next up we can set course towards November 1. Right, going right over that village here, that's of course what we're not supposed to do. But nonetheless. Here we are. November 1 is just about over that small line of forest over there. And here we are. Right, from here on we'll fly direct to the Bravo Alpha Mike VOR. Now it is worth noting the airspace is over here, so we can see we have a class Charlie airspace that we're currently flying under, which starts at an altitude of 2,500 feet. So it is a very good idea when we're flying below that we keep a little bit of distance, and therefore I've chosen my cruise altitude as 2,300 feet. And I really like how the Navigraph app is performing here as a moving map. Now, of course, that is not its only use, so we can use that button here to get it to a north-up view, at least when we take it out of the moving map. And just looking up ahead, the next airspace we have then starts at flight level 65, class Charlie airspace over there. Then we have one at level 45. Ooh, quite a bit of turbulence. And then from the VOR, it's going to be 2,500 once again. If we are looking for some more details about the point that we are flying to, we can just click on it, and then we get all that useful information over here. So, frequency, range of power, and the DME elevation. Now, the latter really becomes interesting when we are doing IFR procedures, but we'll get to that, well, probably not in this video, but in another one, because this one will remain focused on the new VFR part in the Navigraph charts. Anyway, we can still tune the frequency 114.0 and use that one as a navigation aid while heading towards the VOR. After all, it is really worth noting that you cannot just use the Navigraph charts as a direct moving map, but it is also a really good idea to just use them like this for a little bit of, let's call it old school practice. And I really like to do that every now and then, because it gives you the opportunity to practice your orientation skills and practice all those skills that you learned originally in your PPL training, like in the time long before we went to all those fancy iPads. Now, while we're on the way towards the Bravo Alpha Mike VFR, let's quickly take the opportunity and have a look into some of the features that we have available on the VFR maps. So, we have a lot of filters that we can apply to the maps. Now, of course, stuff like nav aids, terminal waypoints, and so on. Well, not all that interesting. I'm keeping it on the VFR and the NDBs, on the VORs and NDBs, because I might as well use them for VFR navigation. Of course, we also have the VFR reporting points, traffic patterns, and that kind of stuff. VFR holding patterns also. So we should find some of those in Düsseldorf. You can see them here. And those are all drawn into the main moving map that we have available now. So that's a really cool feature that we have available. Going on from there, airspaces, of course, gonna keep those on. Infrastructure like roads and railways, so we can see those applied up here. Airports, of course. Ooh, that got a little bit turbulent there. And probably some of the more interesting stuff here is grid morass. So, in the VFR charts, we do have our minimum en route altitudes drawn in, as we can see over here in the green number of 2,200 feet up there. And those can all separately be enabled or disabled. Over here, 3,700 feet. So that is our VFR map. We'll put it back into the moving map mode now. Orientation, track up, because that's how I like to use it the most. Now, the one thing that I would love to see that unfortunately does not really seem to be available in here is separate charts for VFR airfields. So we do have our traffic pattern drawn into the en route environment over here, but what I would really like to see, what is unfortunately not available, is separate charts. So if we go into Essen Mülheim Airport here and open charts, then it's just saying no charts available. So the charts themselves, except for the en route chart, still seem to be limited to what we have available as IFR procedures. We have some general airport information, but well, nothing on VFR approach charts. However, a new feature that we do have available in here is metadata for our destination, and it is worth mentioning that Essen Mülheim does not have a weather service by their own, so that's why the Navigraph charts are now showing me the data from Düsseldorf, which is the nearest airport. So that is quite a cool feature, and that is something that I really missed in the old Navigraph charts, so good job for adding that. So returning to our original flight, we are slowly approaching the Bravo Alpha Mike VFR. So the course now would be 294, 10 miles to the airport, but we don't really want to do that because we need to keep clear of the Charlie airspace over here. So what we're going to do is to set course just along the border of the airspace in order to avoid the Charlie airspace here. So make that a course of maybe 320 degrees, something like that. So something like this. This certainly gives us ample opportunity to avoid the controlled airspace. Let's do a quick arrival briefing. Once again, the chart's really useful for that. We'll enter the traffic pattern on the downwind leg. We'll have to fly the airplane really slow there in order not to overshoot here. The pattern altitude 1,400 feet, and there is Class Charlie airspace just 100 feet above that, so we gotta be very careful when we turn in, or alternatively we might as well turn the transponder off. No, I'm joking. We ain't gonna do that. Alright, after landing we have runway 24 over here. We'll vacate all the way at the end. Then we'll taxi via Charlie all the way to the main apron. We have a fueling station over here, so that's where we are probably gonna go. Alright. That pretty much concludes it. Over here is our destination, Essen, Mülheim. We are just going to keep a little bit of distance here. Now I would personally love to see how many noise complaints we would get if we flew a turboprop airplane like the King Air this low over populated area. It is absolutely legal to do so, but it would be very interesting to see how many complaints there would be. So keep in mind that we are still flying VFR, which means we are primarily looking outside of the windows and not just on the Navigraph chart app. The chart app is meant as a supplement to what we're doing. So we can see we've got a railway line over here, which we can follow towards the airport. And we have the railway up here, and we are going to follow that. Here's where it goes. We'll just follow that all the way towards our destination. I'll also start slowing down our airplane already. Alright. We'll silence the gear warning here. Next target, 1,400 feet. Patron altitude. We can see how the traffic pattern basically goes in the middle of these fields that we can see on the chart over here. So that's a good moment to look out. There is one aircraft over there, which is probably the airship. We saw the hangar on the chart, if you remember that. Okay, now we went a little bit low. Let's go back up to 1400. When flying VFR, it's always a very good idea to be down at your pattern altitude long before you actually reach the airfield. Because otherwise, if you're descending, especially in a low-wing aircraft type like the King Air, or any other aircraft type that has bad visibility to the front, it might be very easy just to descend into another aircraft. So we'll go ahead and do that. Right, there's our field still. Then we can start the turn towards the base leg. "160 knots is still rather fast. But let's go flap 1. Gear down. That's finally also gonna shut off that warning. Landing flaps out, and let's make our base turn. The airfield's just up there. And here we are. We can either do it the old school way and look out, we're just overflying that water tower, or we just use the chart, which makes things a little bit easier for us. Right, the base leg is gonna lead us over this little forest over here. Let's try not to get too fast. And here we go, starting the base turn. You can really see how fast the King Air is over here. Basically my complete base turn becomes a turn towards the final approach. I could certainly have flown that traffic pattern a little more accurate, that's out of question. But staying north of that highway, which we can see just down here, so staying on the north side of that, and we have high airfield straight ahead. Altitude alert is checked, we're gonna cancel that one for now. Right, so landing gear is down. Turning final. RP3 reds is checked, correcting. That was quickly into 3 whites. Okay. And here we are back on. Okay. Props going to maximum. Idle thrust. And down we go. I underestimated how quickly that King Air would break. Okay, so... let's get right off via Bravo. Excuse my taxing here, I still have to get a little bit used to that airplane. Right, we said we wanted to go to the fuel station, which is marked on the main apron over there. Oh, keep on that taxiway. And there is the fuel station. Right, that does look a little bit small though, so let's just take it to the main apron. There are no parking gates assigned on the charts, so we'll just take whatever we have available. Another King Air standing over here. Let's just go in between those without breaking anything. And give me that last meter, please. Thank you. Okay, here we are. Parking brake set. Avionics off, generators off, inverters off, and engines off.
This parking is isolated. Ground services are not available.
Okay, I'm happy with that, GSX. Thank you very much. Okay, and here we are. So that's how we can use the Navigraph charts for a quick flight around the corner, or VFR. Let's use the very last minute of this video in order to quickly discuss the other options that we have available. So, looking into some of the IFR flights, I just loaded one up earlier on, and this is what things would look like. Now, of course we can change the chart map up here to IFR, High Airways, And we should probably take it out of the moving maps. One really cool feature that I noticed straight away with the new Navigraph app is that it automatically selects the charts with the standard instrument departure that we wanted to use. So for this IFR flight, we have a Cola 3 Foxtrot departure there in our route, and the app automatically selected the correct chart for us. So we have both charts, the RNAV and the conventional one. And for the arrival, well, we didn't file any star, that's why we only got the standard airport chart. But if we had filed a star, then we would just as well have gotten the respective chart pre-selected. So that's a really cool new feature, which should hopefully make selecting our charts a lot easier. Now, we're going to cover the IFR aspects of the Navigraph charts in a separate video, so for now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed this one, and if you did, I am looking forward to hear what you think about the new Navigraph charts. Do you like their VFR implementation, or would you have preferred them to do a little bit things different? So, for sure, if you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. I still know that 50% of you guys who are watching this have not yet subscribed, and it really does help out the channel. Now, talking about helping the channel, if you do want to support the channel, you can do that through the Buy Me a Coffee link that you can find in the video description below. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again, hopefully very soon.